We're all finally starting to understand what Elon Musk meant when he said Tesla is writing a whole new book. In less than a month from now, it'll be 2025, and so many great things are in store for Tesla's business and stock. So using just one word, how would you describe 2025? Is it a year of expansion, the year of autonomy? Today, we have a video of Tesla's lead engineer for the CyberCab saying how the cab has 50% fewer parts than Model 3. We're going to watch that video. So we've got the bulls here with us. We've got Tesla Boomer Mama, the Queen, Alexandra Mertz, Jeff Lutz. He's also known as Mr. Incredible, the Rational Bull. And we've got joining us today, Cern Basher, the Bot Bull. Welcome, everybody.
Hi, Herbert.
Good morning.
Good morning. All right. 2025. It's here. We're here. We're going to cover that. We're going to ask everybody what is going to happen in 2025. I'm looking forward to this segment here, the CyberCab. There was a video. Tesla's lead engineer for the CyberCab was there on hand, and he said a lot of new information about the CyberCab. We'll talk about price targets of institutional analysts, and we're going to tell you what to do next when it comes to this judge's ruling for Elon's pay package. So why don't we get started with you, Cern? You know, what if I asked you the question, what is the year of 2025 for Tesla? How would you answer that?
It is the year of ignition. Tesla's various business units will ignite next year. Now, if you think about what ignition is for a rocket, the rocket engines ignite and the rocket ship doesn't appear to be moving very fast. But make no mistake, once those candles are lit, the rocket is going to accelerate. And in my view, that's exactly what 2025 will symbolize for Tesla, the year of ignition for many of Tesla's businesses. So for energy, for example, the new Megapack factory in China, right? That's going to come online. That will really help expand energy. And I think also virtual power plants, the expansion of virtual power plants is an interesting line of business for Tesla Energy. And that's just a couple of things in that business unit. And then they will continue to lay the groundwork for robotaxi. Hopefully we see the production of the CyberCab. Talk about that more in a minute. And then begin commercial operations in certain urban centers, right? So robotaxi will ignite next year. Optimus deployments, the third one. This is the one for me that is the most important long-term for the company. Certainly production of Optimus next year, deployments internally, and then perhaps deployments with select partners, much like they're doing with Tesla Semi now. And then third, I think we may see ignition on some other areas in Tesla's business. FSD licensing announcements, for example. Maybe even the start of distributed inference in the cars, and then perhaps even Dojo as a service. Those may ignite next year. And again, ignition doesn't mean, taking off at full speed. Ignition just means starting to lift off.
I think you're being a little bit optimistic with distributed inference and Dojo as a service in 2025.
Perhaps.
You are. There's no perhaps.
Leave it to Herbert to nitpick. He's starting to make a slide.
He is.
Come on, guys. All right. Well, fantastic year of ignition. Let's go with you, Alexandra. What is 2025 the year of?
When you asked me that yesterday, I said convergence. I mean, obviously, agree with all the points Cern made. For me, it's wonderful to see how all these things are coming together, right? I mean, and I do believe the general public has no idea yet. So the convergence for me means it's coming together, but it's also going to be comprehensible for people that are not day in and day out Tesla fanatics like us, but that they will understand, what this vision is, where it will take us. And I do believe 2025 is the year for that.
Who is this person? Can you guys recognize her? What is going on? Whoa, you can't do that anymore. There's no hair to do.
Yeah, it's true. There's not much hair left.
You used to do that. You used to go.
Stuck. Now there's nothing anymore. I like it. Okay. That's the most important.
All right. Or we lost Xander. Xander's going to join us shortly. Okay, Jeff, what is your answer to that question?
It's definitely the year of the factory. Tesla's building again. They're builders. The factory. Think about it. It's in multiple realms. it's, so the car factories are ramping up again, more utilization, more output. We see it happening, new models coming out. And then you see them ramping up in terms of this thing called the AI factory, where we see what they're doing with XAI, but also with Tesla and the cluster in Texas. That is a factory. There's inputs coming in, there's product being made, and then there's output coming out. And they're working on the efficiencies, they're working on the ramp timing, they're working on all things you would do in a factory. So I think Tesla really returns to this whole concept again of building. Not that they haven't been building this whole time and kind of planning and preparing for all this and doing all the underlying work, but it's building. And then finally, on the autonomy side, that's actually going to be a factory within itself. And then in the rollout of the robotaxi service, remember, it's more than just getting the car to be autonomous. That is the hard work. But what Tesla's doing in the background is they're setting up an operation so that the maintenance of it and the operational aspects of running a service are going to be highly simplified, from the app all the way to how the car is designed so it can be easily cleaned and so forth. And we'll talk more about it. But it's the factory. It's operations. It's the factory. 3 realms, AI data center, building cars, actually energy too. I believe the factory in Shanghai is going to have a new approach to building megapacks. I think they're going to have further optimizations, and that output per square meter is going to be probably significantly higher than what we have in Lathrop. So an all realms car, factory, energy, autonomy, and then in the data center, Tesla's, it's the year of the factory, the year of building.
You said a number of words there. Autonomy. You're the factory. Okay, I'll take it because you described that well, but they're not building new factories, are they, Jeff? I mean, maybe we'll get an announcement of a megapack factory, but it sounds like they're not going to announce a new gigafactory in this year. Do you think so?
No, it's not about building factories. It's about building product. They're going to be building significantly more product in the coming year was my point. Tesla, this is what I think a lot of the viewers, I get a lot of questions about, when's Tesla going to make another factory? They don't need to make another factory. What they need to do is they need to drive higher utilization of the footprint they have and grow inside of the plots that they currently have. That's what very smart companies do. They don't need another gigafactory at this point, but soon they may. But right now, they have so much they're actually reinventing how they build the vehicle. That's the other big thing coming at the end of this year with the unboxed process.
Fantastic. Okay, Xander, are you with us?
I am. How's my audio?
Very good. Are you following along? What is the year of next year for Tesla? What's one word that you would use?
Disruption.
Okay.
And for me, it's about the labor getting disrupted. So once Optimus starts getting built, that to me is just like mind-boggling growth. And so yeah, that's what I think about.
All right, I'm going to go with the year of expansion. I think that everything is now, it's like convergence. It's like everything's going to happen, but it's going to be, the stock is going to go up. The business is going to skyrocket. Everything is going to be basically scaling up in exponential expansion, by the way. So fantastic. Thank you, guys. Appreciate the slide that you put together. Sorry.
Can I add a little information for factory and expansion, just because it came out overnight? For weeks, it's been going on that the Berlin expansion was on hold is a big word, but under consideration again. I mean, they've started, obviously, how it is in Germany. You can start without having the final permit, and then if ever you wouldn't get the final permit, you have to unbuild it. So one big question was the water. Remember what a drama it always is. Well, last night it got approved. So another good point that's going to make the expansion in Berlin much more likely now. I mean, it's actually acquired, I think, now, and which comes together with what we said at the last session of the CyberBulls, that we hear from a lot of sites that they're gonna actually build the new models simultaneously in Austin, in Berlin, and in Shanghai.
Yeah, fantastic. Okay, guys. So I'm excited about this next segment here, which is the CyberCab. Last night, there was an event sponsored by Tesla owner Silicon Valley, and they had a few of the Tesla engineers that was responsible for the CyberCab. And we're going to watch that video of him, specifically the engineer himself, who was responsible for talking about it. He revealed a number of new information. One, for example, is 50% fewer parts than the Model 3. That's amazing. Even better, its body structure will feature 60% fewer components compared to the Model Y. And then the cost savings. And he also explains why the double-sided doors. Why those doors? Why did he go that route? So let's watch this.
All right, one of the questions we get constantly with this product is why is it 2 seats? Well, there's a couple reasons why it's 2 seats. One is 82% of miles driven today are with 2 or fewer passengers. This product is meant to be of extreme efficiency, and we work really hard to deliver that. And the efficiency isn't just on an energy consumption basis, it's on the concept of cleaning. It's also on the concept of reliability and service as well. So 2 seats unlocks a lot of opportunity aerodynamically. It also means we cut the part count of CyberCab down by a substantial margin. We're going to be delivering a car that has roughly half the parts of Model 3 today. It also means when you need to clean the car as a rideshare asset, you really don't have to worry about navigating multiple doors, multiple seats. You really just have what looks like a bench seat, easy to clean automatically, and you have very few pockets of space where you're going to have, certain things that are obviously not going to be desirable to maintain on a daily basis. And you can kind of see the aerodynamic advantage by the track difference between the front and rear of the car. So you can see how the track is narrowed at the back. It really gives us a great aerodynamic shape. It helps us obviously get to the efficiency targets that we want. And some of the team tonight will be able to talk more about the efficiency of the product with you. In addition to that, the car is obviously no steering wheel, no pedals, which is really cool. This car runs on B13, which obviously is now going wide to the larger public. At least it will be in the coming weeks, hopefully. Some of you hopefully have access to that now. So this car is really running what we're putting out to the public today, which is great.
The hardware.
Wow. Okay. He said a number of things there. Jeff, this is lined up right for you. What did you hear?
Yeah, everything's centered on improving rolling efficiency, drag efficiency, mass. And when you do that, you can take the size of the battery pack down. The mass of the battery pack comes down. It's like this circular loop. They're by simplifying, they're taking mass down. By taking mass down, they can take one of the highest cost components and further simplify it. Even just getting to 2 seats allowed them to not, if you don't have another row of 2 seats behind you, that means you can taper the rear of the vehicle and really help with drag. Just a number, and then the part count thing. I'm sure that was a goal when this project started, which was you're not just going to design a cool looking 2-seat, CyberCab. You're going to get there. You're going to start from, you kind of have a zero-based budget, and you're going to start from the ground up, and you're going to do it in less than half the part count. And we'll see how this goes, because normally now they're in the engineering phase, and now they've gone from this handshake with the industrial design to releasing tools. Obviously, they released some sort of prototype tooling to build these prototypes, and now my guess is they're going to their first set of production tooling, and they're going to be iterating on this design to get it to be manufacturable, to get it to meet all their specs and so forth. So we'll see what that. Sometimes there's some creep with part count. We'll see how that goes. But in general, they started from a first principles perspective, and they had these goals at the beginning of the program, I believe. But yeah, and then the ease of cleaning. So I'm assuming they had a lot of different design rules around crevices, around just eliminating gaps, so there's no place for dirt to go. And then also kind of having the Z-planar bench style seat, even though there's a separator in the middle, it allows, he mentioned the word automation. So there is going to be automated cleaning available. And so when you have automation, in the operation, that means you have to design the product, or the unit under design has to be designed for automation. And so that all had to be kept in mind. So when they started with this vehicle and kind of a clean sheet of paper, they're thinking about everything. They're thinking about all the way from its serviceability and cleaning to, if I can reduce the part count, then less things are going to fail. So I'm going to have less things fail from a reliability perspective. And that hits the warranty line of the product. So they're thinking about all these different things. When you build a product, it is the sum of parts that are in the bill of material. But if you can simplify the non-bill of material, the stuff like warranty, the serviceability, the operation of cleaning and so forth, those cost lines are ones that the other robotaxis more probably thought of as an afterthought, and they're a huge drag on their cost structure. So really exciting. This is going to be a very special product.
Mm-hmm. We're going to continue watching the video, and we will have this debate again, because it's been brought up on X whether or not the CyberCab will just be used and sold directly to consumers right off the bat next year without the steering wheel, or adding a steering wheel. Some people are saying even adding a joystick. Okay, let's watch the rest of the video. He shares a few more things. Keep your ear out for him saying future vehicles. I don't know exactly what he said, but let's listen.
How are these doors more efficient?
These doors help you from multiple reasons. One is it allows for better ingress egress, for the fact that we move the B pillar back. This seat actually is in the full rearward position rather than having the B pillar kind of more beside the seat, so you get in and out of the car in any position much easier. And also, Alex can talk about how we've improved the doors from this product, or from this version, to future versions that also help with efficiency of the design, as well as the efficiency getting in and out.
Okay. Did you hear what he said? As well as future versions. What do you guys?
It sounds like to me he's just referring to slightly modified version of this vehicle. But I think long term there will be different form factors for robotaxi. Sure, 82% of the rides involve one or two people. Well, what about the rest of the rides? You need something for that too, ultimately, right?
Yeah, I think that sounds right. Let's listen into the rest of it.
So yeah, that's a little bit of the two-seater concept. Yeah, that's a little bit on the two-seater concept. On the product with respect to the tires themselves are built around efficiency, ride, comfort. We want to have great NVH, great experience in the car. The larger diameter also helps, a bit with the rolling resistance that we're trying to get from an efficiency perspective. And obviously the futuristic look is something that we're really going for with this product. We want it to look very different as it goes down the road. On the trunk side of things, we have a massive trunk. The trunk is able to fit everything from multiple golf bags to 2 full-size carry-ons, 2 full-size check bags all at once. You can also fit some amount of bicycles in there as well, depending on the size. So we're really putting a lot of emphasis on having a large trunk space that's easy to clean.
Wheelchair?
Foldable wheelchairs will fit as well.
Thank you.
On the interior side, we have the largest screen that we'll ever put, or that we've put up to this point in our cars. This is going to be great for all the multimedia experience that you have, whether it's display from your phone to the screen, or games, media, whatever you're thinking that you want to do while you're obviously sitting in the car having it drive you. The best part of this is you get the time back, so you'll be able to utilize the screen, your phone, whatever you want while the car takes you to your destination.
What's the size of the screen and the resolution?
It's a 21-inch screen. Resolution is same as Model 3 today, Model 3, Model 1. So I think there's a lot of other questions we can answer, but I want to obviously give the team the opportunity to meet with all of you. The car is really cool. We're really focused on delivering a super efficient, really cool, fun, comfortable product. We'll kind of stop it there as far as like a brief intro, and definitely.
There you go. Did he say Model
Isn't it
1?
fantastic? Isn't it fantastic that the team met with the general public in one of the showrooms in the Bay Area? I think this is absolutely fantastic. Hope they're doing that more and more.
Yeah, agreed.
I think he said Model Y there, Herbert, instead of Model 1.
Okay, maybe I'm overhearing things, but yeah. So he, obviously the doors gives you a lot more ingress, a lot more space, moves the B pillar away. Then you've got optimizing for lots of space in the back for storage, for bikes, anything like that, and then efficiency, right? That's what they care about. But Jeff, come on, man, 50% less parts than a Model 3. That's crazy. That's amazing that they hit that. Right?
Yeah, I mean, how do you get to the COGS target, which is, south of $20,000 at scale? I would hope somewhere closer to 17,000, 16,000 at scale. But how do you get to that if you don't take parts away? You have to do that. You have to figure out how to do that. And it starts with the trade-off decisions of like, do I need something? You have to start with in the beginning of, do I need the feature or not, or can it be deleted? And you can tell they made a lot of including 4 seats versus 2 seats. They made a lot of trade-off decisions in the product, and then you give the engineering team kind of here's the challenge. Now go after it. But you really have to have those really thoughtful conversations of, how do I set the engineering effort up for success? How do I set it up so they can actually achieve this? Because you said, I want everything that's in a Model 3 or Model Y, but I want half the price. This is where some of the conversations go off kilter. I see on X of like, or they're just going to strip down a 3 or Y and so forth. This is a ground up. This is as we started from zero, and we're figuring out what's essential. We're figuring out a new way. We're figuring out a new way from a design. But they're also designing for the unboxed model. They're designing for the modularity. And then you're going to have a new manufacturing model that puts this together that's basically going to have less waste and more serialized processing, more parallel processing in the factory. So it's really a kind of a new thing from top to bottom.
All right. Jeff, we had a question from the audience. They're asking you, the Tunnies, why does Jeff have a Brown's RoboCab seat behind him? I think you got caught. You're advising Tesla? Yeah.
That chair looks very familiar, doesn't it? But this is leather. But yeah, in terms of cleaning, though, I did think about it in terms of ease of cleaning and so forth. So yeah, it's got some of those attributes. It's a great call out.
All right, so this is Tesla Alley. That's where we got TESLA. That's where we got this video. Thank you to him. What an amazing time at the event put on by Tesla owner Silicon Valley. The Tesla engineers, Eric E. Tesla, the lead engineer for Cybertaxi, CyberCab, was happy to answer questions, excited about this game-changing product. Also got to meet Amy, and Amy, of course, is instrumental in helping the Tesla retail community, particularly in that lawsuit that's fighting back to the Tornado case. We'll talk about that in another segment. This is the Tesla engineer, and this is Tesla Alley that took the photos and videos. Thank you for that. Yeah, he had a little model of the Optimus sitting there, just showing you how big the cavernous back is. It's amazing. There's Amy. Thank you for that. Okay, so before we get to the price targets that everybody's raising, FSD version 13 has just been shocking everybody. That just came out over the weekend last week. And I'm sure we've all been watching these videos. Anybody have any kind of thoughts or comments about that? Who wants to start?
We're all so polite. We're waiting for each other to start.
Go ahead, Cern.
Yeah, I mean, haven't experienced it for myself yet. And I can say the last version of FSD that I have in my Cybertruck is amazing. It's not perfect, it's amazing. And so I'm excited to get version 13 myself whenever it comes to the Cybertruck. But from what I've seen from the videos, it's incredible. It seems like a leap forward. Now, obviously, it's early days. We'll see over time as more people get to experience it, what some of the issues might be. But it looks like it's a big leap forward, and that's very exciting. And some of the functionality, the push to start, the fact that the vehicle can reverse and back into a parking space. There's some things I think that people thought that FSD would never be able to do. And here we are, 2024, and it's doing them.
Yeah, I think that for me, it's like I'm listening to the reactions by the people who are testing it right now. And it's one thing when you see Omar from Homar's catalog saying this is a fantastic build. He does that. He's been watching it because he's just enthralled with the advancement. But it's another thing when you hear Chuck Cook, who came out and right off the bat, he put a post saying this is ready to go wide release. I don't see any safety issues. This thing is something that he's saying, hey, send this out to everybody now. This is 13.2, not even needing to wait for 13.3. And then you have AI Driver, who was very skeptical. He's the one that does all these videos, fantastic videos. He's very, very skeptical. And then he actually went back and picked a post that he did a couple of months ago, and he said, I'm actually wrong. I have to say that I was wrong. His skeptical analysis, then he goes, it's blowing his mind. So it's that's kind of reactions we're getting from everybody. Anybody else have a comment on this?
Yeah, I'll just quickly say I appreciate all the early testers getting their videos out, getting them up, and showing us the experience, and we can judge for ourselves in terms of what we're seeing. But what I am seeing, like Cern mentioned, we're basically getting the feature complete. We're adding these things that were not there before, but are essential for robotaxi, and quite frankly, they're essential to say you're giving a full self-driving experience. And there's still more to go. But if you look at where they bifurcated the release notes, like they showed you like everything they're doing in 13 per se, and then they showed you like what's coming next, and it looks like they cut it. And it looks like some of the stuff that's about to hit is pretty exciting, and they're really going to be really using like the full breadth of Cortex. And I think what my biggest takeaway was the driving is more natural, human-like in how the actual driver in the seat wanted it to be. And that is where now I think we're starting to tip over from the heuristics. I know we already went end-to-end a long time ago, but it feels like we're going more of the AI of this whole equation is taking over. And the question is not about go to FSD or go to this, and how many interventions were there on this drive on this day. It's actually much, much more about the relative improvement and then the rate of improvement of that relative improvement. And I think with Cortex, we're going to see that grow dramatically higher. And I think what Tesla's probably dealing with right now is how big of a model can they get in the vehicle and have it perform the way they want to perform it. And I think that's the trade-offs they're working through now, but I can't wait to get it.
The one other observation I'd have too, Jeff, is that is Cortex even finished? Is the construction even finished on that yet? And yet here they are using that facility to produce this. It's incredible.
Yeah. Yeah. It reminds me of the kind of the transition from like normal phone to smartphone. So many people, so many things, and people were caught off guard at the time. I remember walking in the buildings of a supplier and saying, look, we need this by this date. And they're starting production and the roof is not yet fully on the building and they've got tarps over the line. It's that kind of thinking. And I think Elon's got that team focused on just what, that time to ramp up element. It's so critical. And it's out there for everybody that builds it. An AI data center has the ability to go figure out like, how do I go faster and how do I get more of this processing power up quicker? But Tesla's and they're actually executing on it. It's really amazing to see.
Okay. Let's go back to this debate because it's just heating up on X about CyberCab. So we know that CyberCab has, according to Tesla, that it's going to go scale production next year, and that they're going to roll out the robotaxi program next year. But some people on X are insisting that the CyberCab will be sold to consumers next year. That it's going to be sold with, some people are saying, with you just add on a steering wheel and pedals, and you're going to sell this as one of the new, more affordable vehicles. And other people, like Farzad, is actually pitching this idea that, in fact, they're not going to add the steering wheel and pedals, but they'll have a joystick that consumers can buy the car and use it if needed. And it'll pass the laws and all that. So where do you guys stand on this debate?
So I want to chip in on that because I gave it some thought. First thought is, when Farzad says something, he knows something. So I would never underestimate what he says. The second thing is, I cannot imagine 1 second that Nashta would approve a joystick independent little tool to steer being considered supervised FSD. I just can't fathom it. But then again, who am I? Maybe that's the way they will go. But it just seems crazy to me that it would be an unattached thing that would steer your car until all the unsupervised FSD licenses are granted. Then again, like I said, I mean, when Farzad says something, I'm usually listening because I just have no doubt that he has very good sources and that he feels strong enough to go public with them. Must indicate something.
Yeah, I think steer by wire gives them the optionality to do that. So I do think that they're going to utilize the platform. And how do you get to the run rates that we were, how do you utilize the capacity that they're building? So yeah, I think that's one option, is that they just add it in. But then again, they might be working on other vehicles that we just haven't seen yet. And the comments about the doors, and there's possibility that they're just gonna drop it on us last second.
Wouldn't we have seen something by now if there were new models coming out soon? I mean, Tesla's pretty good at hiding vehicles, but Model 3 refresh, I mean, there was plenty of test vehicles out there that people were looking at months in advance. It just seems a little strange to me that we're not seeing something. And yet we have these expectations that these new models are coming out next year. Where are they? I mean, I know they haven't rolled them out, but I mean, they should be testing somewhere.
Yeah, no, it's a good question. It's a good question to ask. But I'm what's the debate? Are they going to put a joystick in a car? Is that the debate, Herbert, or what's the debate?
Steering wheel.
Both. Yeah. The first debate is whether or not they're going to sell the CyberCab directly to consumers next year. They're just going to add steering wheel and pedals so that is one of the low cost of vehicles. And some people are saying it's going to be joystick. I do think that there is a joystick involved. That is Joe Tegmeyer has been speaking to people, and he's confirmed that could be the case. But it's more like to control the car if needed, but teleoperation. But I don't know about selling a car publicly because of that.
No, that's a development tool. I don't believe that that's a production thing to sell to people's. Yeah. I think it's a development tool. But yeah, you do have to ask the question, and this happens all the time in product development, which is like, if you don't see the prototypes out, if you don't see them in trials, if you don't see people testing, there may be something going on in terms of the end release date. So it's going to be interesting to see how Tesla manages. But I think there's two questions going on: is, are the affordable vehicles on track, and what are they? And then, what formats are the CyberCab going to ship in later in the year? I believe they're focused on this no steering wheel, no pedal, 2-seat model, and getting that to production in unboxed as quickly as possible. And I think that creates a platform for Tesla. Because remember, in these unboxed stations, they're individual stations. They're not serialized in a line anymore. And these things are now part of a platform. So you're loading motors, you're loading inverters into these stations, and you're loading battery packs. And what the differential is going to be is the construction of the body of the vehicle. So I think what Tesla is doing is they're bringing the cost structure down so low. They're bringing the platform cost down so low. It's going to enable them to do many more models that would have been cost prohibitive in the past. But in terms of this debate of like, I think they're going to start production on the CyberCab in some volume, some level. I think that's a target for the company by the end of next year. Will they deliver it to any consumers? I think that's really hard to say. Probably not. Possible, but probably not. But I think their goal in the second half of the year is to start unbox production. In the first half of the year, it's to bring those modules forward from unboxed production and to use them in these more affordable vehicles. But I think Cern's question is valid. You know, it's December. If these things were starting up production pretty soon, would we be seeing them out in the wild and testing? I think it's a valid question. And if you don't start seeing them over the next couple of months, I think it's a valid thing to question.
Yeah, I'll just go back to, like, these are 20 prototypes that they created. Why, it's not going to be difficult for them to just release the vehicle with the steering wheel and pedals. But what we saw is the vision of the future with the CyberCab. So, they don't need to launch without pedals and a steering wheel. They could launch with one. So, it's staring you right in the face. But that's just how I think about it. I think that's the first step, before we get to the part where they start the services. Because if you're going to launch a service and that's not going to have steering wheel and pedals, and that'll have teleoperation to get the vehicle out of trouble. But if you're going to make a consumer version that we're supposed to be able to buy, you're gonna go back to the old school.
Okay. I'm going to stick to my position, which is that I'm going to listen to what Tesla has communicated. And they've said that the more affordable vehicles are going to be built on the same production line as the existing production line that they have now. Now, they could have kind of like, sleight of hand say, well, we already have a production line for the CyberCab and we're going to do that. No, I think that they're going to create those vehicles, get them out, make them out sooner and faster. And then the CyberCab is built for robotaxi. I don't think that they're going to use that. And I think as a long-term plan B and C, if robotaxi is delayed, that's why they chose to make it in this form factor, that they could put on a steering wheel and sell that if they needed to. But I just don't see that that's what they're planning to do. They're going to make as many of this robotaxi vehicles as fast as possible. They're going four bore on robotaxi. So, okay.
Jeff, are they able to fill the capacity with that theory that they projected?
Phil, they have capacity for 3 million units on their existing lines, roughly 3 million.
Can they utilize
units?
For
With
CyberCab,
what
fast?
scenario?
With the CyberCab, no steering wheel, no pedals, ramp it very quickly, get it out to California and Texas.
So that's not even included. The CyberCab unbox capacity, unit capacity, is not included in the 3 million unit capacity yet. It's separate.
Gotcha.
It's separate CapEx. Yeah.
That's why they're saying. Okay. Oh.
One thing I wanted to point out, because I've been thinking about that a couple of times the last days, is when they start production, if we're right, in all three factories at the same time. Remember, that was also the case for Berlin and Austin, when Berlin ramped and Austin ramped. And then obviously Berlin was late. I just wonder whether Shanghai is going to win on all these. Because, they're just so efficient. And I would like to take bets on, productivity goals and who reaches them first. And I just think that Shanghai is going to win all the way through.
For sure.
I don't think anybody would take the bet against you on that one.
Yeah.
Sometimes I do.
Yes. Although probably not very wise if you do that.
I never lose. I don't lose. You say that, but that's not true.
There you go. There we go again.
I'll do the inverse Herbert bet.
You guys say that, but I win more than I lose, guys.
No, you
I
don't. You pretend you win more. We all know
I put you on Earl jail twice because I won those two bets. The
Who's
last
Earl?
time we made two
Earl's not
bets,
here anymore.
I won one, you won one. So I'm ahead of you in multiple times. So just
Who is paying the trip to Hawaii? You are.
I think
don't
inverse
have-
Herbert is a thing.
It
It may
is
take
not,
off. May
guys.
go viral.
Please, Jeff. Okay, you're questioning me. A lot of my predictions have actually turned out true, so I need to defend myself.
Which
Because
is
that is absolutely true.
true,
That is
but
absolutely not right that you're saying that.
Which is true, but it's also fun
Herbert.
to see. I tell
It's
you.
fun. I know we're having fun, but when you do this,
Yeah,
I
it's
need to
having
make
fun.
sure.
Herbert, do you
Accuracy.
think people are keeping score of all like?
I am. I've got all the
Yes.
videos, dude. I
Like an
could
account.
at any time take these clips out and show you guys what I actually said, what you guys
what he's
said.
doing
Okay.
with
You
his
should
time.
make a whole show on that, Herbert.
I will. Okay, I will. I'm just kidding. It's a lot.
Sure
of
you
work.
will.
It's a lot of work. All right.
That's
What we
just
talked
pro.
about today is 2025. We talked about the CyberCab and FSD, and it is showing up with institutional investors, right? We've got Danny Moses, one of the biggest shorts, basically capitulating, saying, I can't do it. I'm out of my shorts. You got Craig Irwin saying that he's now a bull. He was like all-time bear, saying $85 price target, now at $360. How do you make that switch? And he doesn't explain himself very well at all. So I'm not going to bother playing that video. It's just weird. And then just today, we got this news, which is Bank of America. Now, I think Bank of America, didn't they have a, were they the one that had an analyst that then they switched it out with this new, no, that's a different one. So John Murphy, Bank of Analyst gives a price target, raised it to $400. This is the second one. We also had Stifel raise it to $410. So now we've got companies that are raising it to 400. Yeah, I mean, and the weird part is this, which is, oh my God, you have an analyst talking about robots, talking about Optimus. This is a thing now. All of a sudden, it's what? Wasn't the whole thing about this analyst thing? The whole message was we don't price in anything that is not real. We need to see your actual sales before we consider it. We won't even talk about FSD or robots. Now they're talking about FSD. Now we're talking about robots. So explain that to me, guys.
Herbert,
They're
there's
waking
no,
up. Telling you, convergence.
Stiefel, thank you. Not stifle. Stiefel. I learned.
Herbert, from my perspective, there's no rational explanation for this other than they're just chasing the stock price. They have not yet done the work to model out Robotaxi or Optimus. And if they did, they would come to a similar conclusion that we have when we've modeled it, that there's such a step change in value from Robotaxi and an even bigger step change in value from Optimus. And they haven't done the work yet.
I agree. And keep in mind, they are doing, I mean, they're running after the stock price, but they're also doing projections 6 to 12 months, right? So if you really believe Optimus is part of it, you really think that in 6 months there will be revenues from Optimus? Of course not. We all know that's not true. So this is just now throwing stuff out there. It's nice that they acknowledge Optimus exists. Nice, we'll take that. But there is no business model out of it. They're not into 2026, 27. But come on, it's nice. We're gonna take it. We've had hard times where they gave us the worst.
Yeah.
Now, may as well take this.
Nicely said. Yeah.
Yeah, they're chasing. I mean, there's no other. Tesla is going to become. It has become in front of everybody's eyes a much more difficult company for any one analyst in any one category to analyze and say, like, I'm an auto analyst. How do I? What's going on in energy? What's going on in autonomy? What's going on in AI? What's going on in the AI data factory? And it's really kind of outstretched the reach of, I would say, most analysts, and they're just chasing.
Yeah, I think that they were all very late. So then they do the window dressing, right? How do you move from the 270s to the 370s now? That's Wall Street. And what are they going to do? They're gonna pump it up for the end of the year. We're in the Santa Claus rally. So what can they do? They're going to make it a self-fulfilling prophecy and put these high price targets. But if you've been watching, this is this is what we've been waiting for. It's the analyst starts chasing. You know, go back to 2020 and study how that worked. But the reality is, you know, these price targets are so short-sighted, short term. But if you just project forward and you do believe in Optimus, your like the market can go crazy. Valuation, like I just had this debate regarding the PE. I'm like, how do you look at PE when it's a growth company? It's just it's a, you know, you're going after such a large TAM that the short-term PE really doesn't matter. It's just a question of, you know, as you can see with like Bitcoin, what do people find value in that they're willing to pull the trigger at 370 or, you know, or 100K? And is that retail? Because like retail right now is actually very bearish, and with the sentiment surveys, but Wall Street is setting higher and higher price targets at 52-week highs. So, which is interesting. That's a disconnect. And now you have this 52-week high, and Tesla's not near the 52-week high. So, you know, it's an easy move to go like, okay, this is going to hit 400 before the end of the year. And that's kind of what the market feels. And so you're being more cavalier and, you know, either buying contracts or even buying shares because, you know, if you're gambling here, that we close strong and we have that Santa rally. So, you know, it's all just common. But the options market, this was a very good gamma squeeze today. That's what you saw, because the wall was actually at 360, and then we just blew right past that.
You know, there's a possibility that 2025 is actually the year of the bot. I can't believe Cern didn't go with it. The reason why is a couple of reasons, right? Because, you know, we're all going to be waiting for CyberCab. We're waiting for autonomy. But by next year, you're going to have a couple thousand bots. I think we are pretty confident that that's going to happen at this point. You see that we're almost at design lock now. You see how you actually saw a full Optimus with the hands integrated already, and it be able to do that. Elon's promising that it can be able to do juggling by next quarter. If the scale of compute continues to grow significantly, we should maybe by the end of next year have many more autonomously driven tasks. So if you see 2,000 bots in a factory, now I'm not saying that can happen by the end of next year, but if it happens, people can much more easily understand that this is a massive business, the largest business ever, and then they're going to need to get in because they can see how big it is. You know, sometimes an options play like, oh, we don't know if it's going to be a real business. It's pie in the sky, may or may not happen. I get that. But the difference is that this is so big. The market is so big, and you see 2,000 bots. I think more and more people will just invest even before seeing the actual sales to customers, that metric.
I agree on that one, and I also want to add to what Xander said. The Christmas rally is real because lots of mutual funds, not the ETFs, but the mutual funds have to publish every quarter, end of quarter, their portfolio. And they have been constantly underweight Tesla compared to the benchmark they're on. This quarter's Tesla rally is for them a real issue in performance, and they're getting paid on their yearly performance now. That's going to play out end of December. And if they're still underweight in the winners they should have invested in. So there are many who are looking for a moment to enter and had hoped that the law case would be it, and had hoped, and there may still be windows in December to get in. I'm not saying that, but they have to get in before the 31st. So I firmly believe December is going to be a very strong month for Tesla. And I strongly believe you're completely right that 2025 and 26 is going to be much stronger even. And that the bots are going to play a role. But before the bots, it will be the launch in February of the production of the next model. I mean, there's so much to come. I wouldn't want to be short of it, and the shorts are acknowledging that, but I wouldn't like to be underweight either. And there's so many that are still underweight. So at the moment, we're on a good path.
Okay.
And not financial advice.
I'm going to add to that. I'm going to add to that really quickly. Since your two comments together, Herbert, I think you're right on the bot, and Alexandra as well. And then there's two things in the last actually week or two that have surprised me and incredibly encouraged me. One, I talked about earlier, the human-like driving of version 13.2. I think a switch was flipped going to Cortex, and I think this only gets better. A light went on for me, seeing that more human-like driving and seeing the reaction of the very experienced early testers. That's one. Two, to your point, Herbert, on the bot, seeing it have the dexterity of that hand. We saw the hand by itself. Then we saw them integrated into a body. And then we see it catch a ball across its body. That's actually, catching a ball across your body is actually hard to do as a human. And the dexterity involved in that arm movement, and then the fingers, the squeeze of the ball. Those are the types of things that were kind of a blank in my mind in terms of like, how will this really, like, how many operations can this thing really do in the factory? And when I saw that, a light went on for me that says, not only can it do probably the full set of operations in the factory eventually, but it's going to have the dexterity and the dexterity speed to be able to be not only replacing a human, but to actually be faster and more labor efficient than a human that would have been in that spot. And those two light bulbs went on for me the last couple of weeks, and I'm extremely encouraged by those two things. So I think you're right. I think the bot is going to start doing even more and more encouraging things in a factory via demo, and I think the light bulbs are going to start going on.
Okay.
And Herbert, if I could defend myself, if you could
do, because you're supposed to be the bot bull, you better defend yourself.
You can pull up my slide that I showed at the outset of this presentation. You'll see that I mentioned the bot, right? About bots being produced, bots being deployed in Tesla's factory, and then
see how he is, Cern. See how he deforms stuff.
He thinks he's the enforcer or something.
Yeah.
Always. So you're on the plane to Hawaii with us. Don't worry.
Yeah, and he's not pulling up the slide. He's not showing the.
No. Of course, because
he spikes the he spikes it. He spikes the story as soon as it goes in the other direction. It gets spiked. He runs the show.
And when he
I run the show. There you go.
Then he laughs his way through it. I know. We know him so well. Sir.
Okay. We will have this trip to Hawaii. Okay. It's going to happen. I will pay for it. We're all going to go. It'll be fun. Okay. So we got to get to this topic because it is not everything that Tesla does is winning. So right now this judge did, Tesla lost the bid to reinstate the pay package. Judge McCormick, Tesla right away said the court's decision is wrong. We're going to appeal. Elon said shareholders should control company votes, not judges. And then Alexandra, you took, I'm not going to read through all this. You explained to us what it is that we need to do now.
Yes, thank you very much. So let me just resume 2 seconds. I mean, obviously nobody ignores this anymore, but a couple of things that haven't been talked about enough. This was the largest sum she ever allocated to a winning party, to a law firm that won the case. So while I'm happy it's not as high as I feared, because obviously they had outrageous demands, it is still the largest sum she has ever attributed. The Supreme Court had attributed higher ones, and other courts have had a bit more, but in her on the Chancery Court, this is the biggest one. I made a mistake 2 days ago in that space when I said we're done with her. That is completely wrong. We're not done with her. And I've had time since Monday, since the judgment came out, to read the 103 pages. And I'm so annoyed with her. I mean, she used this final judgment to slander and smear Tesla's board, Robin Denholm in person, obviously Elon. She characterized them in the worst possible manners. She obviously has absolutely no esteem for the company it is, has no understanding what they're doing, and that sometimes putting in parentheses that Kimball is Elon's brother may not be the most important thing for this company. So she is in a very technocratical manner, desiccating their ways of doing, both for the 2018 vote and the 2024 vote. So she's actually already in her judgment addressing what she feels is wrong with the 2024 vote, and in a very aggressive manner. And I think there's a reason for that. And if you would mind, Herbert, pulling up that slide that I sent you, because contrary what I hoped for that we're done with her, and now we're just going to the appeal for the Supreme Court in Delaware and maybe to the Supreme Court of the United States in DC, there are still a couple of cases pending, and she's the judge. So the easiest one is an old one from the Police and Fire Retirement System of Detroit. That one, Tesla's management had agreed to repay $735 million to Tesla, to the company, but the settlement has been pending for over a year and a half now, and she has to finalize that. That is just depending on her. Why she's not finalizing that, I have no idea. Then we have Donald Ball, who is a shareholder of quite a lot of shares, who pretends that the June 2024 vote was not valid because it was only 72% and not 75%. And that the whole way the ratios are calculated, whatever. He puts it in question. No idea what his game plan is. I don't know whether this is going to be heard. For a long time, I thought this is just not even worth being heard. But giving her tone in that judgment, I now wonder whether she's giving, these cases much more weight to be able to continue with her agenda. And then the next one, she actually regrouped two. So these are institutional investors, Cleveland Bakers and Teamsters Pension Fund. They claim that XAI gets preferential treatment by Elon compared to Tesla. Obviously, when this whole chip thing was, it's completely crazy, but there we are, just nitpicking on a specific situation. Then the most important of all those, if you retain anything from this whole thing, it's the Employees Retirement System of Rhode Island. So these are her progressive friends. I'm really watching my tongue, I can tell you. And they say that he did wrong the way he sold Tesla shares when he bought Twitter. So these two, she regrouped. And for these two, if you see certain phrases in her judgment from Monday, they were prepared so they could be used in these cases. They were prepared. They're giving them munition to exactly their points, right? So why did it take so long to come up with this stupid judgment? Remember, we had the preliminary text in January, and then we had the lawyer's claims, and then we had the vote that she completely ignored. Then she used the 2024 vote setup to spike into her final judgment all the arguments these guys need. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy what she's doing. Then we have another case called Perry that she tried to regroup with the Cleveland and the Rhode Island case, but those lawyers were successful in keeping it aside. And that is going that there's insider trading, Kimball, Elon, whatever. And then there's another case, Wagner. He slipped in the last day before they moved out on the 14th of June. So unfortunately, we're not done with her. And she's actually very cleverly building up these other cases. She really has a beef against us. There is no shareholder protection whatsoever. She has a beef against Elon, against Tesla, and she's using it. And she is really strategically helping her clientele. The people suing Tesla or Elon or Kimball or whoever, she's helping them with this judgment. So it is extremely important that we change public opinion, because she has the longer hand here. She has the time for her and complacent players, because there's also a story about, whose law firms are representing these clients. And there's such a net of people that know each other, have worked for each other. And it's crazy stuff. I'm not even halfway through understanding all that. It really is mind-boggling. But anyway, so what we have to do, and good thing is, obviously we have Elon and we have the current administration now favorable to Tesla and to Elon. But what we have to do is we have to point out that this is starting to be real lawfare, that there is a real wish to harm with judicial means, and that they're actually self-harming the state of Delaware. That is going to be an angle we have to use, but we have to use public opinion to make sure that people understand what is happening here. Because I hate these subjects as much as we all do. I never wanted to become a lawyer, and I certainly don't want to become one today. But what is happening here is really too important for us to just sit it out, because it will take years if we sit it out. And if this, and I mean, the good thing is obviously Tesla is going to appeal. We don't have the appeal filing yet because that takes a couple of days or short weeks, but they have 30 days to do it. But it is clear that the appeal is absolutely necessary. There's no choice. We cannot let the slander that is in that judgment stand, because it will be used for anybody and everybody to sue Tesla if this remains what it is.
Thank you so much, Alexandra. It's much, much bigger than we all realize, isn't it? Thank you for outlining all the
web
issues.
is being casted wider. Looks
exactly. Yeah, and she's the master spider of the web. She really is.
Okay. Ooh. Anybody else? Okay.
And we had a question earlier where somebody said, what's going to pop the bubble? I mean, these cases are not going to pop the bubble. Whatever comes out of it, Tesla has the means to pay them. But it's a drag. It's a drag of energy. It's a drag on, a company that is so consequential to the world has to deal with shit like that. Sorry about my language. And obviously us in the end, because we have to pay for it.
Yeah, and how is that protecting shareholders? It's insane. And un-American.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
From my perspective, I would say that this probably does not affect Tesla employees and the work that they're doing, and most of the management team. And Elon certainly is capable of, putting this in the right place and moving on with things. So, in evaluating the company, I'm not particularly concerned that this is causing a drag on the company. Right. And I'm not even particularly worried that it's causing a drag on the stock. It might from time to time, depending on announcements, but I think those will be short-lived.
I think you're right. Yeah. I think it's actually motivating employees too. So you've seen a lot of individual employees speak out in defense of Elon. You've seen most of the senior staff come out and speak out in defense of, and that shows you the relationship he has, the respect he has inside of the company. And of course, his family and friends are all speaking out. I think it's incumbent upon all CEOs that are based in Delaware actually to speak out and say, hey, look, like this could happen to me. And yeah, I'm sure there's something valid in any, like this whole thing, you can indict a ham sandwich, you can do whatever. Like, I'm sure there's something there. The question is like, it seems like it's pure lawfare and it could happen to anyone. So I think it's incumbent upon other companies actually to either move, like actually speak with their actions, or certainly kind of speak out and say that there's really no place for this. We need to be a nation of builders. We need to be a nation of people. And of course, you've got to respect the law. Of course, you have to follow the law. But the law, the law is under interpretation.
Yeah. And I mean, what she's doing is she obviously disliked very much that we re-voted again in June, right? And won that vote by about the same margin that the 2018 vote. So that was not good for her image. So what she's doing is she desiccated those 250 pages and saying, oh, there Robin Dunholm said this and this was misleading. So the whole vote doesn't count, right? So she's already preparing. And I mean, you know us, we'll vote a third time if it has to be. And I mean, it's incredible how motivated she is and how she included all this analysis in a judgment where from the start she said, oh, that came after my preliminary judgment, so I have to ignore it. But blah, 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 and pages and pages and pages about how this was misleading and this shouldn't have been done like that and this was done contrary to crazy stuff, absolutely crazy stuff. And it just shows how motivated she is. And we're going to be even more motivated. And to your point, Jeff, you are right. What we have to do, if you're shareholders in other companies than Tesla, look at your share portfolio and look where those companies are incorporated. Apple, for example, is incorporated in Delaware. So if you're an Apple shareholder, write a letter. We've set up a type letter, and Bradford Ferguson has another one, a sample. And we're actually going to publish, I think, tomorrow, a list of all companies and where they're incorporated. So there's somebody working on that. I mean, this Tesla community is just great. I don't even have to ask anymore. They come up with ideas, and tomorrow we're going to publish that one, so that you can check on where the companies are incorporated, have their contact details, and send them that sample letter. And then we just have to keep the subject alive. I mean, I hate it because obviously all of us would like to move on and speak about bots and speak about cybercabs and whatever else, but we'll just have to keep that subject alive to make sure that any chance we have to speak to journalists so that we can take action, it has to get out there. And we have to ask these other companies who are in Delaware. One point I want to make is directors and officers insurance in Delaware is going to become more expensive, because there's now suddenly this large sum that has to be paid until the appeal maybe changes that, and the insurance companies are not going to take all that risk on their shoulders. So the one point, so if anybody here's in the industry of insurance or knows it very well, is one thing I want to make sure that we understand how much this is going up, how much harm she's actually causing all of us, because all these companies will have to pay higher insurance rates, and make a subject out of that. So there are many angles we have to do. None of them are glamorous. Lots of them are a lot of work for all of us. But I just hope that everybody's motivated enough to get public opinion on this.
That was excellent, Alexandra. Were any of you surprised by the muted reaction from the stock and the market?
From the market? Yeah. I was not, because everybody was straight away saying, okay, this has to be appealed. I think anybody that is with a capitalistic mindset and invested in a stock, because that, I mean, if you're not capitalist, you don't invest in a stock, right? I mean, that's just, for me, a clear thing. Appreciated that Tesla came out so quickly and said, we're going to appeal. So that just put the whole thing on mute and delayed it. Now, what I just put out, all these other cases, and reading the verdict, many people don't do. If you do it, I mean, I got scared. When I read it the first time 2 days ago, I was like, oh my God, there we go again. Because the way she's setting this up is so deliberate. I mean, for any non-lawyer, it's so deliberate. You read a thing and you just think, oh my God, what's she doing? She's preparing, you know, when you go to a reception and you have these little bites, she's preparing all these little bites for all these lawyers just to pick up anymore. So again, this is, I don't want to overstate it. This has nothing to do with Tesla's trajectory, right? Tesla is going to go where they go despite this issue in Delaware, and thank heavens we left, because as you have remarked, since 14th of June, there's no new law case, right? That was the most important thing. We're gone. So this is the maximum list of law cases that is still pending. Nobody can file a law case in Delaware anymore.
From Delaware, yeah.
But, exactly. This story is over, but it's not over in the sense that it's not, you know, we have to still go through all of these. And so it is so important to change public perception. If any of you live in Delaware, have political influence there, know anybody, please reach out to these people, reach out to me if you want to, you know, get any guidance what to do. But we need to make sure that everybody's on that, and that the court understands that we are not just going to take this. We're not just going to sit there and let her put apart sentences to find a better way to have said them, and make people culpable of stuff that they're not culpable of. It's crazy what she's doing.
Yeah, just one quick thing to Xander's question. Alexandra answered it really well. The other reason is that I think that there was a tremendous movement in the stock, is I think public perception has flipped. Now, and to Alexandra's point, like, we need to stay on top of this and actually grow this. But for me, if you remember from the beginning of the year when this case broke and the surprise ruling at the end of January, and then you saw some of the posts from Elon, and then we were kind of marching up and leading to this vote in June that Alexandra led, the retail shareholder side of it. And there was some uncertainty at certain points in time of like, how is the shareholder base going to react? Were we going to have some of these rogue things happen? Were some big funds going to do something really stupid? And in the end of it, there was overwhelming support. The shareholders spoke. They support Elon. They support what he's doing. These major funds, in the most part, supported Elon. We now identified and saw the people that originally voted for it in 2018 didn't vote for it in 20. Like, a bunch of stuff was exposed, but the sentiment, and that was also the same time kind of in the country was kind of between like, are we going to go kind of more of this woke route? Are we going to go more of this other route. And the same thing was happening inside of the country. It's kind of the two things were happening together. I'm not trying to bring politics in, but a lot of sentiment is both changed in this whole element that Alexander described and kind of the rest of the country. So I do think that there's some positive momentum, but it is surprising to me that there's this amount of lawfare that can still be kind of like put out there. So Alexander is right. We have to stay on top of this and we have to keep moving this forward. But I think Elon sitting there today, and this is why the pedal to the metal on Cortex, pedal to the metal on FSD V13, pedal to the metal on CyberCab. The We Robot event was the reinvention of like, where is autonomy going? Where's travel going? That's why there's pedal to the metal. That Elon is confident in the future and where it's going. We do have to get through these things though.
Jeff, there's no more pedals. You can't use that analogy.
Exact joystick now.
It
joystick.
It's not yet joystick to the metal. It's just the car going to the metal. Good point.
All right. First of all, thank you so much, Alexandra. Really appreciate you taking all that time and effort and leading us. Thank you to the Tesla retail community. We need to step up. We have lots of enemies. With success comes enemies. And, just remind ourselves, bring it right back, right? Why are we doing what we're doing? Why is Tesla so important? Why is it CyberCab? What's the robot going to do for the economy, for the world, for humanity? And so this is just bumps in the road. It's part and parcel of it, but lots of work. And thank you so much, Alexandra. Great job.
Sure.
Thanks. Thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you guys. Appreciate this. Hopefully you enjoyed the show. Follow these speakers.
You had no questions?
We did, but I don't think we have time, unfortunately. I'll save them for next time. Sorry, everyone.
Okay.
Alexandra Metz, I got to say your name properly. Cern Basher, Xander Sky, Jeff Lutz. Follow everybody and follow CyberBulls, please. We'll see you guys again next week. Bye, everybody.
Great job.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.